Gertrude, you were such a wit. Oh, no, I'm just gonna relax for a little bit and just look through some of the new fashions. I'll be right there. Don't worry. Whew. Hello, darlings. My goodness, Gertrude really knows how to throw a party. It's great, but I'm a bit of an introvert. Her parties are wonderful, but sometimes you just gotta get away for a second. So I grabbed myself an Elite Styles magazine. I'm just going to take a little breather. Just have my drink. No, it's okay. It's okay. Just tell Alice to get more champagne. Yeah, okay. Okay, I'll be there in a little while. Thank you. Ooh, all right. Let's get into it. So I picked up this beauty at Austin Creative Reuse, of course, and there was this lovely bag that had $6 marked on it, and I had to have it. Inside we have Elite Styles magazine from February 1918. How time flies, doesn't it? That's 107 years ago. And we have this lovely lady with this little bit of a bubble, but look at all of this lovely draping here. And she has her little Valentine and appears to have her knitting needles. Maybe she's gonna sew something for her bow. But the price of this magazine was 25 cents, which in today's money would be around $5.50. I paid $6 for it in modern day. I mean, it's 1918. Let's have a look at what we have in here. Elite Styles, published in the interest of dressmakers, ladies' tailors, and fashion-loving public. She's in bad shape. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind. Look at this loveliness. Now, before we even look at this, I would like to draw your attention to how you can make big money. Made from $200 to $1,000 a piece. I smell a scam. According to this ad, you can make between $200 and $1,000 a piece. That roughly translates to $4,500 or $22,000. So I read all this over, and we have Miss Belle Stein who made $542 in one season. Mrs. Pinkerton sold $59.50 in 1.5 hours. So it sounds like this is some sort of a reselling kind of situation here. The unfortunate thing is, I imagine the women who needed to make money at this time period did not have friends to sell garments that range from $200 to $1,000 a piece at the time, which again is between $4,500 and $22,000 today. The ladies who probably needed extra money do not have friends who have an extra $200 or $1,000 hanging around. Seems a little predatory. And this is the Schwarzen Imports. So these are fancy robes imported from Switzerland, apparently. A little bit predatory there, y'all. Guess it's always been around. Okay, now, wait a minute. This is in French. And this is in English. What is happening here? So what I discovered after I looked through this is there's this piece, which beautiful. I love the cover. It's gorgeous. I love this scam here. But this is not this. This is just the cover from Elite Styles magazine, February 2018. But thankfully, even though I didn't have Elite Styles magazine, I apparently got, this is from l'Art et Mode, which is a French magazine, apparently. Honestly, after I did some research, these styles all look very like avant-garde. This whole magazine seems as though this is for the extra artsy people, the ones who are pushing some boundaries. Because as you can see, it's 1913, and if we think 1913, we think Edwardian period. So if we think of the Edwardian period, we imagine the pigeon breast, the tight little waist, etc. And they did have big hats, but not hats like this. Mr. Lewis here. My goodness, look at these hats. So I was trying to do some measurements here. So if that is about the height of her head. So it's a head and a quarter, it seems, which would be about 1.5 feet. And now that's just the hat. If we go all the way, let's see, 1, 2, 2.5. The average head, how big is my head? I'm gonna say like 10 inches, which would make this about 2 feet tall. Fantastic. So apparently we have black velour and feathers. That's the most French I can read. Haute and chiffons, 27th of November. These are looking interesting. Look at these collars. And we obviously have some furs here. It's very carefully. Oh, Bernard, excuse me. Look at these outfits. Look at the size of these buttons. I don't know about you, but as I look at all of this, I see some of the 19 teens definitely represented in these fashions. One thing I'm noticing is this exoticness maybe? This is not just French. Here, I could almost see a little bit of like Russian influence, maybe. Could just be making this up. I mean, what do I know? I'm no fashion historian. We have velour made of discounts. Maybe it means skunk. I just tried looking it up and nothing for French, but Latvian, it means stink. So maybe that's skunk. I have no idea. Beautiful. Yeah, look at this interesting button work here, these interesting pleats, the collars. Kind of saw something like that in the 1940s. We have fur trim and fur collars. It's also important to note what time period this is. 1913 is around the end of the Belle Époque in France, which was the beautiful time period. And this is also right before or right at the start of World War I. Men and their fighting. So now let's look over here. Pour les soirs. The soirees, maybe? Maybe this is your fancy wear. And that almost looks like cheetah. We have a lot of draping. She still has gloves, this one. These do not. Does not look like we have foundational garments, which is very interesting. Again, from the Edwardian period, things are corseted, tight, and people are very restricted. But here, these women look much more relaxed. We'll say the skirts are a little cumbersome. I mean, this right here, what is this? This is a tripping hazard. That's what that is. Danger, danger, danger. Yeah, we have a lot going on here, though. Many, many layers, very rich and opulent. I'm willing to bet that some of that is real fur. If you know what any of this means, please comment down below. Translate some of these phrases. Oh, again, look at these gorgeous hats. I don't even know what these shapes are, but I absolutely love them. Never seen anything like this, really. Like this whole, I was gonna say this whole era, but I think this is for eccentric people in this particular era. I don't know if everybody was looking like this. People at Gertrude's party, oh, I saw a whole bunch of people dressed like this just a moment ago. These hats, once again, look at the size of this. This must stick out like 1.5 feet, 2 feet, like that. You do not want to sit behind her in the opera. Inspired my look for this party tonight, as you can see. This is actually from Neiman Marcus, and I got it in an estate sale for $15. And now this. This outfit is very interesting to me in that, look at the shape. We have quite a, like a that. What is that? It's like almost like a skinny diamond carrot. I don't know. What is this shape? It's a very interesting, we have very dropped shoulders, very, very low. This almost reminds me of some of those weird modern puffer outfits that people have worn. Once again, we have a lot of draping and a lot of volume, but then around the ankles, it tightens a bit, a hobble skirt, so it seems a little dangerous. We have a lot of fur. Big hat once again. Very, very opulent. Another thing I really like about all this is this beautiful filigree here. Probably a remnant or still around the time of the Art Nouveau era, which was around 1890 to 1914. So we're right there at 1913. Love it. Oh my goodness. Oh, I love this. I love this look. I still think that these skirt shapes are a little bit strange, but it's beautiful. Now let's look at this one first. So this is interesting. We have a nice little, almost like a cinching band maybe back here to tighten it. The shapes of the jackets, again, they do close usually around the bust or maybe even a little bit below at the natural waist. It's kind of a high waist. It's not an empire waist. I'm not a fan of those. It either nips in right at the waist like we have here, or it flows outwardly. Look at this. Is this like a palm? Or I think this is more fur. Lots of fur. By the way, the fur that I had on my outfit is all vintage. So as we can see with some of these styles, we have this very interesting silhouette again that we have a nipped in waist, a little bit high, but not as high as an empire waist, and it kind of ovals out like a grain of rice. And then some have this little flounce, which I think this is related to Paul Poiret. Poiret? Do I say his name? Paul Poiret. Paul Poiret. I am so sorry for the way I pronounced it throughout this entire video. I'm not even gonna keep trying to say that. Good old Paul. He was one of the people during late 1800s, early 1900s, around this time period, who some would say he liberated women by getting rid of these tight constricting corsets and moving to these different silhouettes, which include this dress right here, which was considered the lampshade shape, which you can kind of see here. He also exoticism. He also introduced a lot of exoticism. Orientalism. Don't know if we use that word anymore. So Paul brought in a lot of these exotic features and was inspired by For example, Russia, because of the Russian ballet that was now becoming a bit more international, and the Russians were having their own revolution going on over there. Woo! We also see a lot of like feathers and these kind of like drapey, like if you do see pants, they would be like harem pants, like poofy. And a lot of that, and turbans. We haven't seen any turbans yet, but I have a feeling that we will. And all of that is kind of inspired by Persia, maybe Turkey, places like that. If you think about it, travel became a lot more possible at this time for people too. So they were introduced to these different things. And everybody, I mean, if you couldn't afford to go there, you wanted to at least look like you might have gone there. We come back to this, we see this nice sheer, oh my goodness, I think those are gloves all the way up. Nice sheer fabric over many, many layers again. Gorgeous. And this neat little like backwards belt. I love all of this draping here. The structure, I like this one more than I like this one, but gorgeous. This is Coleman and this is Chanel d'Amour Etsy, but I don't think it's the Chanel we're thinking of, just my guess. Oh my goodness gracious me. Look at these lovely ladies. So this is interesting. This almost looks like a bustle, but it's flat. So while in this time period we might have gotten rid of corsets, instead we introduced this hobbly thing. Like this, again, just seems so dangerous. And it all tapers down around the ankles. And sometimes there's even extra pieces that flow past the ankles. Very dangerous indeed. But now let's take all of this in. This is very interesting. I feel like this does not belong in the same set, but she is gorgeous. And I believe that is a giant muff. That is just one giant muff. And then you have another little layer back to the original fabric, but we go from vertical, horizontal, vertical, blank to vertical. I find that very interesting, the play with all the stripes. Plenty of fur, plenty of plumes. A lot of creatures were driven to extinction because of this intense need for feathers for these kind of hats and the more typical Edwardian hats. Here, look at this. This page is a little worse for wear, unfortunately, but we still get this beauty. And wait, we need to talk about the tennis racket in the room. Is that a tennis racket? Is that what I'm looking at? What am I looking at? Somebody please comment down below what I'm looking at. Somebody who actually knows fashion history. Look at this lovely piece here. Oh my goodness. I'm not an expert, but I'm thinking this is a little bit Greek and Roman, but it could also be maybe Persian, but these French designers were definitely getting inspiration from around the world, again, because international travel was much more of a possibility to go and see these exotic places and bring back rich embellishments, embroidery, fabrics, furs from different creatures they'd never seen before, feathers, things like that. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. All this interesting embellishing. And what is this? I love that. I don't know what it is, but I love it. I want one. I want one. Let's carefully. Oh, look, we actually have Madame Benitez and a child. Back to this exotic gorgeousness. This, again, maybe a bit oriental. Look at these interesting shoes. Little straps back and forth and some little medallion right in the middle. She does not look amused. Now this one I'm not as wild about because of this straight boxy look. It's very 1920s and I love the 1920s as a time period, but fashions for women were just, they were just rough, you know? Visions of elegance. Carefully now. L'art de la mode, the art of current fashion, right? Look at that. I need that hat in my life. Please encourage me, comment down below, tell me to make one of these hats. I need to, don't I? Where would I wear it? I don't care, I don't care. I'll wear it here. I'll wear it at my Gertrude Stein parties. Yeah, I'll wear this hat next time, honey. It's gorgeous. These hats are incredible. And now let's look at this interesting situation here. It looks like maybe some fur or some different contrasting fabric attached to straps that go from the front crisscross to the back crisscross and come and tie in the front. I think it's very interesting, this type of draping and almost like not rope work. But how do you go take care of business, you know? How do you get into that? Who helps you get into that? Does it stay this way the whole night? Does it move around? I guess the only way to know is if I make one, huh? I should make one of these. Comment down below which one should I make. This is extraordinary. New hats, and my goodness gracious me, they're gorgeous. So these hats seem to be taking a lot of inspiration from a lot of different places. I mean, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Napoleon, but not, because it's not symmetrical. This almost looks like a brain. All this turban and then like a brain. These hats are out of this world, and I don't feel like I've ever seen an extant example of this. People are always talking about the Regency period. Not a fan, personally. You do you. Or the Edwardian period, or what have you. What era was this? How come I never see, I watch a lot of sewing YouTube. How come I've never seen this? What is this fashion? Where did it go? Why don't we ever see it? Why does nobody try to recreate this? Is it too much? It's never too much. I once read somewhere that, I think it was Chanel said, you know, if you want to be French elegant, you need, as you walk out the door, you should take off a ring or a bracelet, you know, more demure. This is maximalist, and I am a maximalist. As I'm about to walk out the door, I think, what else could I add to this? Could I add another nose ring? I'm a maximalist. Now, again, here we are with this. I'm just gonna call it a grain of rice shape. It's the shape of a grain of rice. The whole body or the bottom, like they just look like little medium grain rice. Oh my gosh, she has a full creature. Full creature. It's a lot, but it was, you know, a sign of opulence and wealth, so people most certainly wore them. And also at the time we needed some warmth. I don't know how much warmth that was providing, but definitely around the collar. That properly is warm. There's a reason why cavemen skinned bears and wore their skin. Gorgeous. Look at these beautiful prints. These three ladies, isn't it interesting how they all seem to kind of complement each other, yet they are all very different. Like they look like they came from different parties, but they look fabulous. Again, with the crisscross shoes. This must be a cape. I wonder what she has under there. This looks almost like a fluffy house coat. I don't know. Some of these shapes are just so funny to me. Ugh, but these hats, one more time with these hats. Goes up and then you could see the whole thing. I need to go look these up. All right, we have another woman with a humongous muff. That's a lot of fur. And again, we have like one skirt and then two little layers of skirt, maybe the lampshade kind of look. This looks oddly modern though, doesn't it? We have 3 buttons, like a normal jacket. I think again, some sort of leopard print or some sort of fur. A nice big collar and a turban. This looks oddly modern to me. The skirt, maybe not so much, but the rest of it looks kind of modern. Something about the theater. I don't know if this is supposed to be like a little joke column or something, but there's a lady sneering, looking very upset about this baby. The husband looks very upset, and then this guy looks like he's about to fumble this 3rd baby. So I don't know. Somebody who reads French, have fun with that. Ooh. Now this to me looks a little bit more of the period. I guess what normal people would be wearing. This drapiness. Look at this though. Like somebody has to come and tie you into this, don't they? I'm not as wild about this look, and this hair, all of this is a little bit more boring to me. And she has her little like plumy fan there, I think. Again, tripping hazard, tripping hazard, tripping hazard. I like how she's being kind of coy though, playing with clutching her pearls. And now we have Art de Chiffon. Again, a lot more fur. She has at least 4 or 5 creatures on her. That must be heavy. It says Chanel again, but I'm not sure. Ooh! So this, oh my goodness gracious, this spread, this is it. This I see a bit piratey, bit flounce. I just love this. I love this. Her face could be a little bit better. Somebody did her dirty, but love all this. As you can see, my look was a bit inspired by apparently Coleman's. The jacket with the poof sleeves is a Goodwill find, and it is BCBG. Then the blouse, one of my favorite blouses. This is, I guess, technically vintage. Early 2000s, Bebe, BB, however you say it. The black skirt that I'm wearing that is very can-can-esque. The skirt was custom made by a design I drew. Senora Magda in Monterrey made it for me for one of my proms. And I wore it up as if I was can-canning the whole time. It's neither here nor there. This is where some of my inspo came from though. And look at this, also this interesting embroidery here. Taffetas, velours, and skunks, which again, I think is maybe some sort of animal. That looks like an animal. That looks like animal. All these little trims. Tripping hazard, tripping hazard, tripping hazard. Again, some other little joke here. I'm not sure what's happening there. Don't care about that, we want fashion. So here we have some petite correspondences and a couple other little, I think, ads, notes from the carnet. Again, look at the size of these muffs. I mean, I will say that at the time there wasn't central heat, so staying warm was, you know, important. So they might have actually needed some of this, but my goodness, that is humongous. This jacket though, cuts a little bit shorter, this looks shorter. If you just took off this extra layer by the leg, this looks a little bit modern again. This shape of jacket has become quite popular. I'm not the biggest fan of that shape, but this is kind of what's going on. Yeah, if you were to just put her in some leggings, seems kind of modern, minus the hat and the muff. No fur and hats nowadays. Look at these Hats! I just can't get over it. Avenue l'Opry. I hope you're not going to the opera with that. Nobody's gonna be able to see anything. Gorgeous. Like, is it just crafted that way, or do you have to like put that on every day and sort of mold it? This is fantastic. Ugh, plumes and everything. I wonder what animal that's from. A little shoe. Whoops. Oh. Oopsie daisy. Let's do it like this instead. Not wild about this silhouette. I think I'd like that it looks more natural, looks more realistic. She's not wearing, you know, any sort of undergarments, foundational garments under here, at least we can see that. These little beads and embellishments, very, very nice. This is interesting. I wonder if there's anything here holding up the structure, or if it just, you know, you take a picture like that and then you walk around, it all falls. Look at this. She's literally like twisted. This is so dangerous, these hobble skirts. Paul, thanks for getting rid of all the corsets, but why did you hobble us together? I heard it was called a hobble skirt. Amanda Halley from the Ultimate Fashion History, she explained a hobble skirt was called that because when you needed to put the brakes on a horse and park it somewhere, make sure it didn't run off, they would just put a belt around its two front legs, and now it can only go boop, boop, boop. It has to hobble, so yeah, that's what we became as women. All right. Look at these spreads. Look at this. What is this? I don't even know, but I love it so much. She looks so unamused, doesn't she? Look at the size of these hats and these muffs and all of this fabric. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, but also a bit sad. Obviously, this is just for the richest of the rich who could afford these kind of things. And it's kind of sad because, as we know, they didn't know. We had all this beautiful opulence, and then what happened next? That's right. World War I, because some guy got shot. But let's just appreciate this right now. This is fabulous. I would love to remake. I wonder if this is all beading or if some of this is pleats. Gorgeous. So it looks like a little jacket with one button right in the middle, and then we have a skirt overlay of this same textile, and then we have that underskirt. Very interesting. Very interesting. Look again at the size of this muff. It matches the white trim on her collar and her sleeves. This is again kind of like that lampshady look, or as I keep calling it, a bit of a grain of rice. And we have this lady here who actually looks a little bit more subdued, and this almost looks like a bandolier. This is a little bit more boring, not as into this. All of this fabric, this wonderful drape. Everything had this drape at the hip. Here again too, goes down and up around the hip. We don't have anything like this nowadays, it seems. Beautiful. Not so much. She's a little bit plain to me. Like, where's her hat? She was trying to reach the gods with her hair. She needs a hat, like these lovely ladies. Get this. I mean, it seems like so much effort to get into these things. So much fabric. How much did this all weigh? L'art de la mode. So this one is 1914. Things are probably not as fun anymore. Again, tripping hazard, tripping hazard. Yeah, we have a 1, 2, and a 3 tier. They're kind of like trees, and upside down Christmas trees or something. Yeah, this looks a little bit more like the regular fashion of the time. But everything else we've looked at in here was for the brave, the fashionably brave, I think. Lovely. That was L'Art de la Mode. So in addition to the Elite Styles cover I got and to L'Art de la Mode pages, I also got one page from the Ladies' Home Journal of 1907. Now again, look at the difference. This is only a few years from these, but I think more American, probably more English. They also killed a lot of birds for all these. Like, look at this. This is a whole, there are full wings placed on either side of this hat. I have to admit it looks kind of cool, but oh, I recently found some vulture wings at my ranch. Maybe I can make that. Anyway, we can definitely see the difference in those hats from this. This to me all strikes much more conservative, even though it says 4 hats from Paris, which is very funny. Now, if we just compare the different hats here in 1913 to 1907, but I would still guess that this is for normal people. This all strikes me as those very eccentric and daring individuals who would wear the craziest fashions. So this is what I envisioned from the Edwardian era: the waist, the wasp waist, pigeon breast, and, you know, long, pretty skirt. I mean, I love this look, don't get me wrong. I think it's very beautiful, but it's nothing like this. I mean, I can see a tiny bit of like maybe we're in the same time period, but this is only 6 years apart, but it's a whole ocean apart. And again, I think these are the more stylish people. I mean, these women look highly stylish too, but these are for like the eccentrics. So we have L'Art de la Mode, we have one page of Ladies' Journal, we have Elite Styles, and there's one more. So here is the last one. This is Le Bon Ton et le Métier. Sorry for those of you who actually speak French. So now this looks a little bit more like this. This is in the same world as this person with these crazy hats and the feathers and everything. Much more like the magazine we just looked at. Oh my goodness, look at these beautiful ladies. Oof, this page is destroyed, but we can still appreciate. Look at the back of this jacket here. We have more of these kind of funny little buttons. We have this funny lampshade. So how many layers do we have here? So many layers upon layers, ladies. And we have some funky hats again. So this is Le Bon Ton et le Métier de la Mode United. It seems that those two magazines are more in line. The Ladies' Home Journal, not so much. I found this really interesting. This is Dress Cutter and Dressmaking, a system. I think you would order these pieces and you'd get this, maybe it was like the harder patterns that were like stiffer. I'm not completely sure what's going on here. I might investigate this a little bit more. Okay, so I just looked this up and here is kind of what I found. It seems like it's a book that you pick some sort of a pattern and then it'll explain to you how to draft the whole thing rather than sending you pattern pieces. Maybe I'll do a whole video on this. What do you think? Should I? So if we look at 2078 and come over here, 2078, made and pinned model only. Skirt $1.50, jacket $1.50. $1.50 at the time was about $33. So for the pattern something for both, it would be about $66. Interesting, interesting. Well, the models or patterns are made of heavy press board, the consistency of leather, and will stand the hardest possible use. Okay, so maybe you buy the system, which is the book, and then maybe you buy the pattern pieces? I don't know, I'm not gonna figure that out right now. Beautiful here, love that it's in color. Here we go. This again is matching a lot more of L'Art de Mode magazine. This is much more in line with what we were looking at. This is all that Paul stuff going on right here, and it's beautiful. And then here we have, I love this, we have undergarments. It's very important to know what's going on under there. But we don't look like we have much structure. This is so cute. I want to just wear these. Just need to make a pair of pants like that. Doesn't that look itchy though? And then some skirts again, this rice shape. This is such a funny shape. Flip, and here's our very last page, very much looking like that wonderful French magazine. Ah, what a beautiful little adventure that was, with all of our lovely elite styles that were not elite styles, but I was thrilled. I had no idea that I was gonna get all of this from this beautiful magazine that I got for $6. I hope you enjoyed this type of video where I go through some old catalogs, some ephemera. I love looking through these myself and I just thought I would share. Please comment down below, fill in all these holes. I really am just on the start of my fashion journey of understanding and learning all the different inspirations and styles and designers, especially when you go further and further back. This is gorgeous. I really hope you enjoyed that. Please comment down below what else you would like to see. I have a lot of old style magazines and catalogs. I would just love to sit and go through and just chat about them. So if you are interested in that, please leave this video a like, maybe a comment or a share, and I'll know that you're into it. But other than that, I'm out of champagne. I really got to get back to Gertrude and Hemingway and Pablo and everybody. My God, they just can talk so much sometimes. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, darlings. I know, I'm coming, Gertie. Gosh, keep your pants on, girl.